That is why the next order was that if there is a cell phone found in the cells of any jail here, you're out. I will fire you. I will fire all of the superiors there. Because the drug industry, just like in America, is run by the inside. They have the contacts. They are the lieutenants. The big ones are already out of the country. There's a big digital map there. And they would just say, in the Paco area or Santa Ana or Tondo, there's this moment. You pick it up there and that, and it's real time. You deliver it there. You get the money from this guy in the corner standing. So how do you fight it? And even China is having a serious problem now with drugs. Yan ang mahirap. They're really having a headache now because, cocaine and heroin, you have to have the puppy. But drugs, you can cook it inside your yard. And it's happening now in America. They are realizing it. But for all of the posturings, I really do not know why. Well, in other countries, especially in Rwanda, when they were killing, they were doing the ethnic cleansing here, or just like in the Middle East, wag na lang tayo, let us stop kidding ourselves. They are also doing it for religious purpose. Me, I'm fighting here criminals, all potential users, and if you're a user, you must be a pusher if you are a user. Why? Unless, of course, you're the son of Ayala and Gokongwei. Then you have to have somebody to contaminate to support your, or else the monkey. You have to have the fix of the day. So I'm having a very serious problem here. And I do not have, I said, were it not for that kind person, human being of China, I would not have this facility good for 10,000 people. Diyan nakakaawa ang Pilipino. Then they attack me for human rights. You know, in every demonstration, let me tell you frankly, in every demonstration, it's the yellow who's shouting for my ouster. But you will never hear it from the communists. Because I am the president belonging to the left, actually. And everybody would tell you that I was crossing the ideological borders even before I became mayor. Find a policeman or soldiers who was taken hostage there. And they would tell you the person who would go there to the mountains to retrieve them. The Reds would never demand my ouster. They will die for me, believe me. That's the reason why I was able to convince them for a talk. There have been, it starts with the good intention, pronouncement, everything, and at the end of the day, it ends with a stalemate. So do not believe in that shit that they will never go for the ouster. Look at their posters. They would just condemn the burial of Marcos. But that was really the line, their lines, their favorite lines, actually, because Marcos was just their enemy. But for those who cannot forget, you are condemned to enjoy your grief until you die. Marcos, when he was buried in Hawaii, you know, the Americans were very strict with that. You cannot go around the law and preserve a body there. It's not allowed. You have to go inside the tomb. Marcos, when the time they got him out there, bring it to the Philippines, already in ashes. Or at the very least, skeletal remains. And by the time that he was buried there in Libingan ng Magallanes, it's just ashes. So, and And they would just put to me as a bad guy. My mother led the Yellow Friday movement in Davao City. You can ask everybody and anybody. Sunny will tell you. She was the only one in the plaza bowling at the military because all of the audience were policemen and Philippine constabulary at the time. It was mother who only stood up and bullshitted them in public. And there were only 4 of them walking the streets of every Friday till it bloomed into something big and eventually the revolution. No? Baka hindi nila alam yan. The Reds would never. And you can go to the mountains and ask the regular armed in PA. And ask them, who's your idol? So, let me disabuse your mind about this. There are actually 2 groups there. The group of the yellow who cannot accept defeat. So they keep on making noises and making contacts with this lady there. I will not mention her name because she's a lady. And she only made it big because she married an American, a black one, millionaire. And she inherited the money. And now she's talking as if she's I said, I would like to, I take your questions. But let me just end my story. Because I like this adage which he said when he was the President of the United States of America. And he's also one of the few heroes that I have in mind. One is Rizal, my father, then this guy. And he said, if I were to try to read, much less answer all attacks made on me, this shop might as well be closed for any other business. I do the very best I know how, the very best I can, and I mean to keep doing so until the end. If the end brings me out all right, what is said against me won't amount to anything. But if the end brings me out wrong, then angels of God swearing I was right would make no difference. Abraham Lincoln. Great statement left behind. And for me, I just, 2. There was this saying in the YMCA dormitory. And it's always there, and I've memorized it over time. And he said that, I expect to pass through this world but once. Any good, therefore, that I can do to any fellow creature, let me do it now. Let me not defer or neglect it, for I shall not pass this way again. So for those of the bad guys, putang ina, papatayin ko talaga kayo. Really. For all of the gangster and with the ill intentions of this republic, do not try to fuck it, guys. You lose not only your pants but your life. I will not hesitate. If it is my country, the interest of my country and the people, if it's the one at stake, you can be very sure I have no doubts in my mind that I know what I should do. The threat of drugs and terrorism is very real. If the ISIS loses the land mass and if they are driven out, they will start to spread around the world. And they've always dreamt of this caliphate in Southeast Asia, and obviously it's Indonesia, Malaysia, and the Philippines because of its Muslim population. I'm not saying the Moros, they do not have anything like that, except the Maute who said that they have pledged allegiance to. Terrorism is very real. And if finally the ISIS is defeated, it will just sprout everywhere, just like any revolution, because it's a dialogue. What happened before in Malaysia, many never got it really correct. What happened in the southern states, including Mindanao, Malaysia, there was this resurgence of Moro nationalism, because they are the originals there in Mindanao. When Magellan said arrive, Mindanao was already 100 years ahead. At my postisla, there was a post in the fight against imperialism, the Spaniards and the Americans. Islam was their rallying point. So that thing there is not new. It's not really a rebellion of, it's the resurgent Moro nationalism. It was their land. So that you have to make concessions. Now believe me, the barest minimum would be really federalism. And mark my word, I would not be here for all the time. If we do not adopt federalism, there is no way that peace can be attained in Mindanao, now or in the future. That's why those who are resisting federalism, because you want to maintain the unitary type, which is actually a structure for despots and kings and authoritarianism. And I don't know why the Americans, when they left us in 1946, coming from a federal country, did not give it to us. Was it because of the parity rights which they were interested? Because it was attached in that constitution that the Americans would enjoy the same privileges to exploit and develop natural resources, just like a Filipino. Or it was really with the good intentions, and we are an island separated from one another, 7,000 of it actually. It would be good to have a strong president. But if I may suggest, I'm telling you now, and you have my word, if they can come up next year or the sooner, whatever, 2-3 years from now, my term is 6 years. But if they can craft a constitution creating a federal setup, a country, and providing for a strong president, just like the type which France has, then I am willing to step down without waiting for the 6 years. Because then I said you would need a president. It is not good for a pure parliamentary type, just like in Britain, because it is not responsive at this time. Remember, the double-decker was blown up by the ISIS, maybe at that time already. Britain at that time could hardly move because of a parliament, and it's a collegial body and a collegial decision. So the prime minister could not even say a statement of why, where, how. It's not good. You know, in times of, you have to have a strong president, I said. A federal type, a strong president. You might want to just give him a few of the powers. 5 powers, but strong one. To dissolve the parliament, create a call for a constitution, be the commander-in-chief of all armed forces. Because you need it at this time in our life. And maybe 2 additional powers. But always there has to be a strong leader at this time. Cannot be a parliament or something which you have to discuss after. Belongs to one man. And it's all commander-in-chief. That is what I am advocating. But for me, I said, I told Senate President Pimentel, and they were here, during the national security meeting and speech.